Welcome into the Big Chief Show. I'm your host, Fred Davis. Hat's all crooked. There we go. There we go. I mean, I would show off my, locks. We don't all have that great Corey Minky, Dr. Minky hair, but we're gonna do the best what God gave us. Glad to have you guys on board. I gotta get this camera fixed too. We'll get all that done here in the next couple of weeks. Glad to have you on board. Big Chief Show. Happy Wednesday to everybody. Happy Hump Day. What a day it's been. Sorry we didn't have a post-game show on Sunday. We will have one this Sunday, though. Bank on that. So stick around. We'll definitely get that rocking and rolling for you. But big day today. We got our boy Joey Christoluopolos from Believe in Chicago, Bet on Chicago. He talks all things Chicago Bears as well as other sports. And so he's going to be talking about what a day it's been. I mean, look, the Chiefs, I'm not saying it was going to be a get-right game. I mean, the Bears are terrible anyway. But they look especially, I mean, it's a disaster going on right now over in Chicago. You've got, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this hat. I mean, look, it's a Chiefs show. You guys get the deal, okay? No, it's bad over in Chicago right now. I mean, as if, the day started off with, Justin Fields basically throwing everybody under the bus and saying that it's the coaching why he's terrible so far this year. And then we find out that the defensive coordinator is a creep, essentially. The story it only tells half the story. Basically, there's inappropriate things going on with his computer. I'll let you guys fill in the rest. The feds raided his house. And how about the fact that former Bear great Peanut Tillman, who became an FBI agent, is the one who let the Bears know that that's what happened. But we're going to get Joey Christoluopolos on, just longtime fan of the program. And he and I have done some different spots throughout the course of my radio career the last few years. And so there's nobody better to talk all things Chicago Bears than your boy, Joey C. So he'll be jumping on with us here in just a second. Real quick about the Chiefs, though. Let's just recap because, like I said, I missed y'all on Sunday. Don't forget, like I said, we will be on this upcoming Sunday, though. But no, it was, it was a good win. It was a good win. Your defense once again outplayed your offense. Your boy Pat Mahomes had a very pedestrian 29 of 41 for 305 yards. Got the deal done as far as his guaranteed deal now. So he's going to get $210 million guaranteed between now and 2026. And then, of course, they'll revisit his deal again in 2026, which is obviously good news. And you got to think, look, the Chiefs are going to do whatever they have to make sure that number 15 stays number 15 for as long as he's a quarterback. I'd hate to see a situation where he leaves the Chiefs a la Tom Brady for the last few years, because it seemed like there was such vitriol and just bitterness there when they left. So let's hope that doesn't happen with the Kansas City Chiefs. I do got to believe, though, that, again, he will have a second coach at some point. I mean, Andy Reid's already like 64, 65 years old or something like that. So you got to figure he's got, 4 or 5 years left of coaching before he decides to turn it over. And so somebody will have Pat for the last 4 or 5 years of his career if everything goes well. So anywho, that being said, our boy Twan Taylor had a rough day on Sunday, but that was I'm not going to say that was expected. I'm not going to say that, it's cause for concern or it's panic by any means. But, when you figure that the entire world saw him starting early on literally every down in that first game against the Lions. And then, all eyes were on him. And this is a guy that, him and Donovan Smith lead the NFL in penalties since 2019. And so I don't know that we've seen anything different than that. Once again, Donovan Smith had another crucial holding penalty in the game, and they were able to bounce back from that. And of course, it wasn't nearly as devastating as the play, against the Detroit Lions, and especially the timeliness of it as well, to say the least. But same exact thing. Guy goes inside on him, he holds him, boom, gets hit with a penalty. So that was something that you did like to see. Chris Jones, glad to see him back. He was a wrecking machine on defense in the limited amount of time that he played. Had a sack and a half, but was a threat and was a nuisance all day long. And you just saw that defense get better. And what they did in the red zone against Trevor Lawrence was impressive. I mean, that game would have been a whole lot different. I mean, the score doesn't necessarily tell the story. Yeah, the final score was 17-9, but when you think about what they were able to do on defense and the fact that if he just converts one of those plays, 3 different plays where the ball or where the receiver just went just out of bounds. We talk about it all the time. Football's a game of inches. Well, it certainly was with that Jacksonville receiving core in the end zone on Sunday. So, look, good win. Needed to get off the schneid. You did that. that. And speaking of the Schneid, right now, let's welcome to the show my man, Mr. Joey C. And I'm adding O's to his name while we speak, as we speak. Look, Joey, the O's just got good to me, man. I had written your name the day before, typed it in. I missed it by like a letter, so I got cocky. I got cocky, and I thought, oh, I know how to spell his name. And I was in a hurry today, and I just spelled it and just kept spelling and didn't stop spelling. And if you hadn't said anything, I'd still be spelling.
Fred, man, great to see you, dude. So great to be on here with you. Sometimes after that Christ part, you have to feel it out. You have to feel it out with the last name. You're not the first. You're not the last. Talk to the people that made up my SATs, my SAT scores, and got my last name wrong for years. I'm happy to be with you, man, on an absolutely chaotic, crazy day at Hallis Hall, where all the news that we're talking about has nothing to do with the Kansas City Chiefs and everything to do with what's going on right now with the Chicago Bears.
It was an absolutely bonkers day. And, like I said in the intro, I mean, it was one of those days where, and again, just coming from a Kansas City perspective, I mean, look, you hear the interview with Justin, or the press availability with Justin Fields. He blames it on the coaching. I told him I was on ESPN 97.5 today, and I told my co-host, I was the co-host. I told the host of the show, I said, look, I would lean towards maybe even benching him. I mean, he just, that was just total disregard in its finest. And then, of course, we get the other news about the defensive coordinator. So, again, you're plugged in. You're locked in. Enough out of me. Just kind of lay out what the day's been like and kind of, where do the Bears go moving forward?
Man, let's just do the itinerary and let's try and keep it on the field at first. Our left tackle, Braxton Jones, was put on IR today with a neck injury. He finished the game last week against Tampa Bay. This was a guy who was a fifth-round pick last year. He played every single snap last year, a guy who we thought could be the left tackle of the future. He's on IR for at least the next 4 games. So now the Bears have a decision to make. Do we put Larry Borom at left tackle, or now do we move our prize first-round pick down from right tackle to left tackle? Hopefully we don't do that. Other news and notes, Nathan Peterman was released today. The backup quarterback was released today. It looks like Tyson Bagent, the Division III quarterback who shined in the preseason, is going to be moved up to that and become the QB2. Justin Fields did a press conference. No, I'm not surprised by that, to be honest with you. Bagent showed out in the preseason. Yeah. I get it that, Peterman knows the system. We know that up and down, but look, let's be honest here. With a team right now spiraling the way that it is, we have to look towards the future. And if Justin Fields gets hurt, the Chicago Bears aren't going anywhere. So if you want to give Bagent some run and just see what you have, now's the time to get him in the building and start learning what it's like day in and day out about preparation in the NFL on a weekly basis for a game. Justin Fields did a press conference today where a lot of reporters took the opportunity to clip some of the things that he said, and some of the things that he said seem to allude to coaching being the main issue of why he is so screwed up in the head right now. He even said, I'm sorry, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, F it, I'm just going to have to go out there and play the way that I know how to play and use my instincts. He then, 25 minutes later, Fred, had to go back out into the locker room and address the reporters that started tweeting what he just said, and then said, look, no matter what happens, it's on me, no matter what, 100% what's going on. And then, of course, we have what's going on at Hallis Hall with our defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, resigning this morning, a guy who was sent home last week for personal reasons, did not coach last weekend. Matt Eberflus called all the defensive plays. He resigned this morning for health and family. His words. I've been trying to do some sourcing on it today, but to be honest with you, Fred, what I've heard, I'm not really ready to expound upon. I think right now this is all in either a legal process or a process that is probably beyond what I'm comfortable with speaking with. But look, it's not good. No matter what is going on with Alan Williams is serious. We're going to learn about it as the news continues to unfold. Hey, but how about Kansas City? Let's play the Super Bowl champs this weekend, huh? Well, why not?
Man, I tell you what, and like I said, when the proverbial when it rains, it pours, and I guess we'll leave the DC talk alone for right now. Like you said, it's not good. I mean, multiple reports have come out as far as the severity of it, and like we'll just say that when the feds are involved, it ain't good. Okay, when the feds are involved, it's not a good situation for anybody. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll let other folks play that out and how it's going to turn out. But that being said, I guess the one from that standpoint, the fact that Matt Eberflus is a defensive guy bodes well for the fact that, okay, look, is there going to be a drop-off? Yeah, I mean, again, this guy's been doing this a long time. Matt Eberflus has forgotten more about defenses than guys like us will ever know. So you feel good in that sense. But the reality is this. The defense isn't the problem right now. The problem is that you've got a quote-unquote franchise quarterback who can't throw. And doesn't and here's what I'm over here talking like I'm frustrated, like I'm a Bears fan, but what irritates me about Justin Fields is that I really thought this guy was going to take a step forward this year. What we saw out of him as the season ended last year, like, okay, this guy's starting to come around a little bit. Give him an offseason. Him and Luke Getsy get another year together. All right. And this is an NFC North that I thought, no Aaron Rodgers. Lions are still the Lions. Minnesota's defense is atrocious. You can make some hay in this division. I thought they were asleep. They were my sleeper pick to win the division. Now I look like an idiot.
Well, look, there are so many different ways to attack this situation right now. It's clearly chicken and the egg. I don't think we can put it all on one person right now. And look, what the hell did they do all training camp, Fred? That's my question. That's my question, my friend. What the hell have they been doing this entire training camp? What have they learned? And what did they learn in training camp that they felt confident enough to implement the type of game plan these first 2 weeks? Now, one of only two things, right? Now, the first one is this has the whiff of Matt Nagy, Mitch Trubisky, right? You see some flashes from Mitch Trubisky in 2018. Granted, they won some games during that season. That very next year, Matt Nagy said, we're going to run offense 2.0, and we're going to challenge Mitch to take it to the next step. We all saw within those first 3 or 4 weeks that Mitch was not up to the task. So what happens right now, what's going on with Justin Fields is it looks like Luke Getsy is saying, we're going to take it to the next level. All right. We're not going to be an RPO option, run design type offense. We want you to sit in the pocket, read your second, third read progression. I'm going to drop these plays. You need to deliver the football. And to this point, Justin Fields not only has been not able to do it, but man, for anyone out there that is a Bears fan that hasn't done it and wants to really punish themselves, the JT O'Sullivan, Tim Jenkins breakdowns of Justin Fields' play in the pocket, his footwork right now, his confidence throwing the football, it is completely out of whack. The coaching staff is either not have the finger on the pulse of what's going on and not willing to adjust, or they're saying to themselves, you know what? This is how we decide whether he's the quarterback of the future right now. And this is a sink or swim situation. And to this point, Justin Fields in this system of what we're asking him to do is sinking as we speak right now. So how they do it moving forward is going to be interesting, right? Because the first one is do what Mitch Trubisky what happened to Mitch Trubisky? Cut the field in half, limit the plays, keep it simple, baby. Move the chains, make it happen. Can the Bears have success doing that? Yes, but then it doesn't answer the grand question. Is Justin Fields a franchise quarterback? And when we say franchise quarterback, this is the guy that we need for the next 5 to 8 years who's going to carry you in these moments, drive the ball downfield, and play NFL-style offense. So to this point right now, that question is a big, gigantic no. Whether the Bears can find success within whatever version of offense they want to create around Justin Fields, that's yet to be seen. But right now, for Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears, the relationship is not good, not looking great. They've lost 12 in a row. They're looking at 13 right in the face. Yeah. And when and if this can be corrected is a huge question right now. And skepticism reigns right now at House Hall.
You said something that I think that I hadn't heard yet, and I think makes a lot of sense. Because I've read some articles, and some people are placing the blame on Luke Getsy, like, hey, you got to give him what this guy knows. But to your point, I don't know. Okay, yeah, you can do some RPO stuff, but again, at some point, as a winning franchise, you have to be able to throw out of the pocket, right? Like that's just the way the NFL works. Because again, I think we're seeing this with Lamar in Baltimore. Yeah, you can run the ball. There's no question. You can have your quarterback run the ball, but if that's his primary, MO, it ain't gonna work. It's not sustainable in national football. You can't have your quarterback. I mean, look, Anthony Richardson's been knocked out of 2 games already, and that's a big dude, right? Yep. So the fact that the Bears are saying, and what gives me credence to that, and what really makes it, what I think I'm on board with you saying that, is that look, Ryan Poles didn't draft Justin Fields, okay? And I'm okay with, and look, we know the Bears are notoriously cheap. A guy that I think Kevin Zepak, who I had a chance to work with here in Houston, talked about, until they decide to stop doing their cost-cutting ways, this franchise may never change. right? Like their CFO might be the most notorious guy or the most famous guy in the building. But it makes a lot of sense when you say, all right, it's either you're going to learn how to take this next step, or that's just it. Because Ryan Poles can say, look, I didn't draft him, and I wasn't in love with the quarterbacks from this past season. And oh, by the way, pretty good, interesting quarterback crop coming up in 2024.
The biggest word that I'm thinking about today is, and I think this is reverberating throughout Hallis Hall, is what we call sustainability.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to go back to Mitch one more time, right? They had a problem with Mitch Trubisky. He did the same stuff in a press conference saying, this isn't how I want to play. There's some plays that I want to run that Matt Nagy won't let me run. Well, what did they do 3 years ago in 2020? They cut the field in half. They rolled him out a bunch. And then they won 4 games in a row against inferior opponents. And then they got to the playoffs, and then they got blown out by the Saints. And then they realized in that moment, Mitch Trubisky is not the guy. We won some games. Great. Not the guy. This story is so strangely playing out almost the exact same way of, yes, maybe we do run some things that Justin Fields likes. Maybe we run him on some design runs and he gets his head kicked in. Maybe we do score some points. Maybe we are competitive. But I know for a fact this franchise, Ryan Poles specifically, with this opportunity that he has, is looking for long-term sustainability. And they believe, in my opinion, that the offense that they're trying to run right now is that path to sustainability. And look, for every time that we want to criticize a bad Luke Getsy play design, every time a right guard whiffs, every time a left tackle whiffs, and Justin isn't trusting it and seeing it, there's also Justin Fields, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, hitching, not throwing the ball. Guys are wide open. Guys on breaks, breaking open in a particular play on a design that Luke Getsy came up with that is positive, that Justin Fields isn't delivering the football. So, I mean, man, is it a baseball analogy where we're saying to ourselves, is this a guy just in a 1-for-17 slump right now, and a guy that has talent, but all of a sudden now he's swinging out of his shoes on a 2-0 count because he thinks it's fastball and it actually is slider? That feels a lot like Justin Fields right now, and it's a real problem. And Freddie, I want to toss something out to you because I've been doing some research this week. I'm going to bring it up on Believe in Bears with former Bears defensive end Corey Wooten when we do our show tomorrow. And this is a broad brush, right? But for Bears fans, this is the most terrifying aspect, right? Okay. Justin Fields, 27 starts into his career, right? He's 5-22 now as a starter.
5-22.
26 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. Now, I was trying to go back into the annals of NFL history and just say to myself, hey, is there ever been a quarterback in his third year that, wasn't producing results and eventually did figure it out and became a quarterback that, wasn't an all-star, wasn't a Pro Bowler? You want to take a guess?
I've got one guess. The only guess I'm going to come up with is Alex Smith.
He's on the list. He's on the list, 1,000%. And the record also showed, too, as well, that, Alex Smith, to start off his career, let's see, 11-19 record to start off his career, 19 touchdowns, 31 interceptions through 30 starts, 54 completion percentage, 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, I was ripping through it, man. There's a couple of guys, right? One guy that didn't make it, right? Vince Young, 28 starts, 21-30, 21 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, 55% completion percentage, had the rushing totals, 10 rushing yards, 31-19 as a career starter, though. I mean, if you look at these guys, the Donovan McNabbs of the world in the third season, 25 touchdowns. Phillip Rivers, 34 touchdowns in his third season. The two guys that were kind of closest to me was an Eli Manning type. In his third season, still only completing 50% of his passes, 20-19 through his first 37 starts, 24-18. The only guy, Freddie, that I found even relatively comparable, and this is going to make you laugh, Steve McNair. Now, Steve McNair,
interesting,
32 starts as a true starter, 29 touchdowns, 23 interceptions, 56% completion percentage. He had some rushing yards, 12 rushing TDs. 1/3 overall. I try to keep it to first rounders, right? And just his record, his record was, let me pull it up right here. It was impressive. 16-16. No, it wasn't impressive. 16-16 as a starter. It took him 43 starts to eventually get above 60% completion percentage, where he turned into an actual quarterback that can move the chains. My point being is that in NFL history, when you are 27 starts through, all of a sudden the resume starts to speak to who you are. There aren't too many guys that after 27 starts in the NFL turn it around and start becoming the quarterback that either Chicago Bears fans want to be, who the quarterback thinks he can be. And that's what's really scary, right? There aren't too many examples of guys this deep into their career still having these types of problems.
I was going to say the only other guy that I can think of that came on later in his career after a very average, moribund start is Rich Gannon.
Rich Gannon, not a first rounder though. I didn't include him, but definitely
okay. Fair enough.
Totally.
Fair enough.
No. Totally very fair. There's some guys that were able to pop a little bit later that found a path.
To your point, dude, we're sitting here racking our brains because look, to your point, the list of guys that do turn it around are sure a hell of a lot shorter than the number of dudes that somehow make it or are what, or Dennis Green said, RIP, they are what they thought we were, or they are what we thought they were.
Yeah, for every, Brad Johnson of the world, even Jeff George had a couple of days in the sun 6 or 7 years down his career when he found some good situations. Look, man, I try to look all these guys up. I try to find somebody on some sort of career arc that was similar to Justin Fields that got through it and didn't eventually either wash out or become a backup quarterback. And unfortunately, in Justin Fields' case, I mean, the record's awful. But even the numbers themselves, and you can't have both. You know what I mean? If you're winning games and you're playing poor quarterback play, we've seen a ton of guys that have been able to have multiple seasons of opportunities, different chances in different organizations. But when you're putting up the numbers, the passing numbers specifically from Justin Fields, I mean, they had a stat today that Justin Fields hasn't thrown for over 320 yards in a game since high school. NFL-wise,
he never threw for 300 yards in Ohio State.
He threw for over 300 yards at Ohio State, never threw over 320 at Ohio State, threw for one 300-yard passing game in his NFL career so far. And now we can say, again, back to the chicken and the egg. Are we allowing him to do it? The Bears obviously led the NFL in least pass attempts a game. I believe it was 22 last season. At one point, they were in the 17-18 mark. So clearly the offense isn't being driven that particular way. But, man, the gig is up. You know what I'm saying? Even Justin Fields in his press conference today that said, hey, look, when I'm running these RPOs, even when we do flash that look, all the linebackers are staying on me. They don't care. Give it to the running back. Who cares? Seriously. So that part of the game is being taken out. And for the life of me, I just can't figure out why we were in love with the screen pass. What does that mean? Does that mean lack of trust in Justin Fields? Does that mean we're falling in love too much with maybe our game call, gameplay? But, man, again, in Chicago, we have a situation where the offensive coordinator and the quarterback are not on the same page, dare I say, maybe not meshing well in the business aspects of what's important, which is winning football games. They might like each other. They might try and support each other and trust each other. But, man, the mix is bad, and now you get some of this off-the-field stuff going on. And if we're staring in the face of 13 straight losses, you do also have to ask yourself the question of, I mean, whose seat is hotter in the NFL right now other than Matt Eberflus's? I mean, is there maybe a Brandon Staley?
I was going to say Brandon Staley's the only one that I can come to mind, and that's just and look, they got talent in the quarterback, right? So I mean, at least Matt Eberflus can say, look, I mean, you see what I've had to deal with? I mean, this history, not to say the Chargers don't have a franchise of underperforming as well. I said something before where I thought, look, Justin Fields may go the Cordell Stewart route before it's all said and done, right? Because look, the dude's a freak of an athlete. Like, we know that. And when you see him run the ball, I mean, he is something special. It's just that, from a quarterback standpoint, it's like, My question is, and after watching 2 games of Chicago, and again, I'm just kind of, playing, John Madden Jr. GM here. Would you see a situation where if this thing continues to kind of derail and forget the off the field stuff, let's just keep it on the field. If this offense continues to flounder and it looks like, okay, the next thing you know, they're playing an undrafted Division III quarterback because Justin Fields just can't get it done, because Ryan Poles has that connection to Kansas City. And I forget the numbers and whatever else. The Chiefs need a wide receiver. DJ Moore is the kind of guy to me that, you know what, I don't know that we've ever seen just how good DJ Moore might be one of the best kept secrets in the NFL, considering he's had Justin Fields thrown to him and the mess of quarterbacks he had to deal with in Carolina. Could DJ Moore be trade bait before the trade deadline if this thing continues to go askew?
First blush, DJ Moore with Patrick Mahomes could be a match made in heaven. I mean, he's Juju squared, right? I mean, he's everything that you want. He's
Juju with speed and not broke down.
Yeah, no, and that physical receiver at the line that can create quick separation, and that guy that gets you those yards after the catch, something that, the Chiefs, I get it, they won the Super Bowl last year, but ever since Tyreek Hill left, they've missed a little bit of that yards, that yak element after the catch. Now, here's what I will say is that DJ Moore is under contract for the next couple of years at about $17 million, I think, a year. That's going to cost you a first rounder, maybe more, right? If you look around the league and you want to talk about maybe a Mike Evans, who's going to be a free agent, who doesn't have a new deal, the compensatory ask is going to be a lot better and more amenable probably to what the Kansas City Chiefs want to do. I mean, I wouldn't wag my finger at it. I really wouldn't, because the way the Chicago Bears are going right now, you just have to ask yourself the question. I mean, what's next? And if you can't salvage this season, again, we clearly showed last year that we were content with losing and trying to get as high a pick as possible. Thankfully, the Panthers are a wonderful dance partner. They're doing what they need to do to be terrible this year.
Yeah.
So if you're putting yourself in a position to have 2 top 5 picks next year, and you say to yourself, man, can I get my hands on either quarterback X and Marvin Harrison, or quarterback X and trade that second top 5 pick for whoever else wants a quarterback and get a haul back and get your wide receiver somewhere else? I mean, maybe you do have to start thinking about rolling it forward a little bit. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, just to bring it back to KC really quick, I think that is a mandate right now. I think when you see the bone bruised to Travis Kelce, thankfully he's healthy, caught a touchdown, doesn't look 100%, but
no, he doesn't.
But we're talking about maximizing potential right now. And Patrick Mahomes is still in this window with this iteration that he has right now to go out there and get himself one more. And I think this is the type of year where you need to see them do that type of move. The Mike Evans of the world, maybe a DJ Moore of the world, and go out there. I mean, look, Davante Adams is another guy. I mean, I would rather maybe see a Davante Adams. If you're going to spend a first round pick, maybe do something along like that. I know the contract's going to be more prohibitive on that end, but I'm with you, man. I think KC needs to have their eyeballs on that moving forward and monitor these situations closely.
The reason why I say DJ Moore is obviously, like I said, the situation in Chicago, but more importantly, just Ryan Poles, right? And the fact that he came from, I mean, I could see him in Veach because, look, I'd be hard. Look, well, I would love to get my hands on Davante Adams. The likelihood, although Mark Davis might be the most moronic owner in the NFL, I could see the idea of him trading, an all-world talent to the Kansas City Chiefs might be more mind-blowing. Real quick, I know you're up against it. My boy Tevin Jenkins, all right, had a rough go these last couple of years, but he's from my hometown. We don't have a lot of NFL players from Topeka, Kansas. How's my boy Tevin Jenkins going, considering he had a rough start to his career?
Currently on IR right now. I want to say at this time that was the precautionary measure to make sure that he comes back 100% healthy. But look, man, he is our best offensive lineman. When he returns, even with our number 10 pick, our number 9 pick with Darnell Wright at right tackle, he will immediately become our best offensive lineman that we have. When you talk about the Chicago Bears last year, they led the NFL in rushing yards, not just with Justin Fields, but our running backs had a lot of success in that outside power run zone scheme. They're missing a bit of that tone. They're missing that edge right now. Tevin Jenkins was a huge part of that. When he returns, it will be an upgrade. Long term, though, this is a story that continues to happen with Tevin Jenkins, where he continues to miss time. Injuries keep holding him back. And look, man, when you talk about it, isn't the injury that he has particularly right now. He dealt with it last year. When you talk about neck injuries, you got to start to ask yourself about the shelf life of an NFL career. Chicago Bears fans love to watch Tevin Jenkins play. How long he'll be able to do that in our uniform is a question that we're going to have to figure out this year, because, again, not a guy that Ryan Poles drafted. Even if he is incredibly talented, finishes the rest of the year healthy, I could see him as a guy that could either be trade bait or something that the Bears move on from, not from talent, not from performance on the field, but again, availability,
dude.
And that's going to be tough. I mean, we were so excited when we got him in the second round. And it just hasn't quite worked out on the health front for Tevin Jenkins, but really talented player. And I hope that he comes back healthy and plays well, because, damn it, we need him. My God.
Boy, I'll tell you what, we'll get you out of here with this. And I always appreciate your time, Joey. Number one, let the folks know where they can find the podcast, how they follow you on all the socials, and give folks something positive to be a Bears fan about.
Oh, my God.
Listen to your podcast.
All right, let's get the plug out of the way first. Freddie D, thank you so much, man. It's great to see you, dude. Always rooting for you. Great to cut it up with you, man. I love what you do. I love being on here, cutting it up with you. You can check me out at Joey Sports Guy. I host Believe in Bears with former Bears defensive end Corey Wooten on the weekly, breaking down Bears football. I also host Bet on Chicago. That covers all general Chicago sports and all your favorite betting lines for the Chicago sports and the Midwest sports in general. Check out our episode tomorrow. Joe Mantegna joined the show today. Joe, very famous Chicago actor, Joe Mantegna, talking Chicago Cubs baseball. A little bit of some of the stuff that he's got working on. That's an episode coming tomorrow. I'm also now working for at Beyond the Big Ten. Follow them online at Beyond the Big Ten in a producer capacity, producing all the Big Ten shows for people in Kansas City. If you got your college favorite in the Big Ten right now, we got shows to cover that for you. Great former NFL stars like James White on the program, covering Wisconsin football. Make sure you check that out. Man, something to look forward to for the Chicago Bears. Well, first of all, look, I gotta say it's been so brutal. I'm pretty much broken, but again, it's only week 3. I'm not saying that we bounce back into this one, but look, if you're talking about getting out the shovel and burying Justin Fields, at the end of the year, let's just say I'm going to spin this, right? I'm going to shine a turd on this one right now.
Okay.
Let's just say at the end of the year, the Chicago Bears don't get to where they want to be. In my personal mind, in my head, I wanted to see anywhere between 8 to 11 games that made me walk out of it saying, I think Justin Fields is a guy that we can build around and move around. So to this very point, we got 15 more to go, baby. So he still has those opportunities to go out there and correct this and show what kind of a quarterback he can be and put this behind him. Whether that happens or not, I honestly can't say at this point. And hopefully we can wipe these 2 games apart. Other than that is, look, there was skepticism around Matt Eberflus. Skepticism around the fact that Ryan Poles, as much as we love what he did trading the first-round pick, this was a guy that decided, you know what? I'm going to punt for season 2 in a row on the defensive line. I'm going to try and just skim around the edges and get our offensive line. The guy who didn't build in the trenches. I feel like this new regime and organization has led with enthusiasm, but with a bit of arrogance. And the only thing to tamp that down is some humbling. And that's what they're getting right now. A lot of humble pie in Chicago. Recalibrate, find out what's important. You've already spent money on other pieces. Now focus on what's important moving forward. And hey, what can I say? The Chicago Bears are either going to come back and be competitive this year, give us something to cheer for, and bring Justin Fields back from the dead, or Tyson Bagent gives us something to look forward to. Other than that, the Chicago Bears we can all start watching college tape and looking at a very, very deep quarterback class that's coming out next year. We all talk about the Drake Mays and the Caleb Williams. I do think that there's 3, 4, 5, 6 other guys that are going to be in a conversation as people that could be possibly NFL-ready quarterbacks next year. Mm-hmm. We do have that Panthers pick moving forward, and I think Chicago Bears fans need to prepare for hopefully more success this season. But again, next season, maybe you wipe that slate clean one more time. I don't know what else to say. The Chicago Bears, really quick. I was going through this again. Outside of hiring Vic Fangio, which I think was a great hire in 2017.
Yeah.
If you go back, the Chicago Bears haven't made a great hire at any level in coaching, general manager, organization since 2004 when they hired Lovie Smith. I'm not saying Lovie Smith should still be the coach now, but ever since he was fired,
hey, that was a good 5 or 6 year run he had with the Chicago Bears.
And look, man, and it was solid. It was stable. We were 7-9, 8-8, a couple 10-6s here and there. We went to the Super Bowl. That looks like gravy right now compared to what's going on with this Bears organization. And from there, you moved over to Trestman and Emery, to Pace and Nagy, to Poles and Eberflus, and nothing has gone right since the day that they fired. It's been 11 years. And they haven't gotten it right. So another swing at the bat gives you another opportunity to possibly get it right. I'm doing the best I can with what I got. And hey, shout out to Roschon Johnson while we're at it. The dude runs hard. Get this guy some more touches. This is Chicago Bear football that we like. A guy that makes linebackers think twice before they put their shoulder pad into this guy.
I'll tell you what, though. Hey, look, that think about this real quick. That top 5 of the draft next year, you could have. It could be you guys in Arizona with 4 of the top 5 picks the way it's going. I mean, think about it. Y'all got Carolina's pick. For whatever reason, Houston decided instead of giving Arizona their Cleveland pick, they gave them their pick. All right. So, y'all could be fighting with Arizona for that number 1 spot. I mean, at the very least, look, you're going to have a top 10 pick. You and Arizona are going to pretty much dictate how that first, the first 10 picks or 5 picks of the draft go in 2024. Last thing. Your Cubbies are what, in the 3rd wild card spot? right now.
Tied
you
for
know?
yeah, went 2-8 last 10 games. Now tied for the third spot after having a stranglehold on the second spot for the last 2 weeks.
And then we're a month away from training camp. Bulls getting back after it, and I mean, come on, look, Lonzo Ball's knee he may never play again. We know that much. And Zach LaVine's still a Bull, so.
I think we're going to see October baseball from the Chicago Cubs. I've greatly enjoyed the mix of veterans and young upstarts that have come up on this Cubs team to surprise some people this year. They'll put up some numbers on offense and some pitching, starting pitching specifically, that has come on in the second half that's really helped us out. Chicago Bulls, buddy, I got nothing for you. Give me Connor Bedard on the Blackhawks. We're gonna lose. We're going to lose like nobody's business, but hopefully this guy is going to be an 80, 90-point scorer in his rookie season. I think Connor Bedard is the future of Chicago Blackhawks hockey and hopefully NHL in general. But Bulls, I got nothing for you on the Chicago Bulls, buddy.
Kirk Heinrich's not walking through that door, my friend. Kirk Heinrich is not walking through that door. Okay, let's keep that in mind. Joey, I've kept you 5 minutes past. I know you got a 7:30 hard out. But man, it's always great to talk to you. We're gonna do this again real soon. Man, just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great shit out there. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come talk to me.
Oh man, you're the man. Let's do it again anytime. Let's do it again soon. Shout out to Andres Nocioni. Shout out to Ben Gordon. Shout out to Kirk Heinrich. The tryhard
been through it too.
Oh, dude, you're telling me. Talk about him. We're gonna end on off the field. Just
he back, though, didn't he? I know he had an off the field situation, and then because he got out. Did he get out of it, or I know he had like a. I'm rooting. I don't know.
I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him.
Absolutely
Ben
too,
Gordon.
Man.
Ben Gordon, be kind to people in public, man. Take care of your stuff in private, and we're rooting for you because, man, no one was better at microwaving 20 points in the fourth quarter than Ben Gordon. So I'm still rooting for him.
Joey Sizzle, be good, my man.
See you, dude. Be well. Have a great show.
Absolutely. The one, the only, Joey C. Real quick, we'll just wrap up a few things, and then we'll get the hell out of here, get out of your face. Do appreciate you guys as always. Once again, look, Bears, Chiefs, this coming up Sunday. Like I said, I think this is a game where if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, look, your defense is going to take care of business. As you heard from Joey, that Bears offense is an absolute disgrace right now, and the entire organization is in disarray. You've juxtaposed that with the Kansas City Chiefs, who right now are the model franchise in the National Football League. They don't overpay people. You either get in line or you're not going to be there, and you're running a great ship right now. That offense, wide receiver wise, look, that offensive line's got to come together a little bit. I'd like to see better play out of the tackles moving forward on Sunday. And more importantly, the continued development, the continued maturation of the wide receiver group, right? More out of Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore. Those two guys look like complete opposites of what we saw in opening week. And then, of course, the defense. If you'd have told me that through 2 weeks the Chiefs are going to be 1-1, the defense held its own in week 1, did its job in week 2, and right now, Patrick Mahomes aside, is ahead of the defense and continues to play the way they're playing. Now, again, you had Nick Bolton get a little nicked up. You had Willie Gay get a little nicked up as well, but they both came back. The rookie Felix, he's starting to show some flashes. I think he's a kid that's going to start showing and flashing more as the year goes on. I could see him having 4 or 5 sacks when it's all said and done. Have a Karlaftis-like impact as the season continues to progress. So I'm excited about what he's doing, and of course, Chris Jones is he's whether you want to say it or not, it's a contract year for him. I don't think he's going to be a Kansas City Chief next year, but he's got to show people that he's in it to win it every single down. I think that's the biggest reason why he didn't get the contract he got, because the reality is, and yes, he does have his moments where he's the best player in the NFL, or defensively, and then he has moments where he's invisible for a guy of his stature and his abilities. So the defense is going to continue to get better, which is a scary proposition for this team, because I think right now it's safe to say this defense has the real potential to be the best defense that Pat Mahomes has ever played with during his time with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we'll talk to you again before Sunday. Can't thank you guys enough, as always, for tuning in. Go to Chief Studio, subscribe to the channel. Go follow my boy Joey C as well, at Joey Sports Guy. Give me a follow as well, at TheFreddieD on both X as well as Instagram. And if you're so inclined, check me out tomorrow on ESPN 97.5 from 12 to 3 with my boy Josh Beard. So for everybody tuning in, thank you guys for once again for my boy Joey C. This has been the Big Chief Show. I'm still that dude, Freddie D. H-Town, Kansas City, and all points in between. You know we love you. Peace.